Optimists' brains think alike about future scenarios. Is being optimistic just a personality quirk? Or can you actually see it inside someone's brain? Turns out, the science is starting to say yes, your mindset about the future might be written in your neural code. But here's where it gets controversial. Recent research suggests that people who look on the bright side of things literally share similar brain activity patterns when imagining what might come next in their lives. Think about life's uncertainties. A tough exam, a turbulent flight, or the nerve-wracking wait for a medical diagnosis. Some folks instinctively brace themselves for trouble, while others are convinced things will turn out fine. According to a new study from researchers at Kobe University in Japan, optimists aren't just sunnier in spirit. Their brains actually light up in comparable ways when they contemplate the future. Lead author Dr. Kuniaki Yanagisawa explains, "We've found that people with a positive outlook organize their future thoughts within a shared brain framework. This probably points to a common way of processing, even if each person imagines different details. In other words, optimists don't all dream about the exact same things, but their brains process these dreams in strikingly similar ways." This discovery may help explain why studies consistently show optimists thriving in social situations. Here's the part most people miss. Social success among optimists might be rooted in this shared neural reality. Their brains, quite literally, are on the same wavelength, which could foster more effortless and intuitive social bonds. Dr. Yanagisawa adds, "How did researchers figure all this out? They recruited 87 volunteers who first completed a questionnaire to measure their general level of optimism. Next, everyone underwent MRI scans while they were guided to vividly imagine various potential future events. Some scenarios were hopeful or exciting. Think about planning the ultimate trip around the globe, while others were neutral or even distressing, like being laid off from work. To go even deeper, a subgroup of participants faced scenarios involving their own mortality. Here comes a striking finding. Optimists showed much more similarity in their brain activity, specifically in a region called the medial prefrontal cortex, MPFC, well known for its role in planning and thinking about the future. What about pessimists? Their brain patterns proved much more varied when imagining future events, which could reflect their broader and more individualized set of anxieties. But there's another controversial interpretation. Perhaps pessimists feel less connected to the universally accepted goals or life narratives that bind many optimists together, resulting in more unique mental models when forecasting the future. This idea echoes the famous opening of Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. In a similar vein, the researchers propose, optimistic people resemble one another in how they envisage their future, while less optimistic individuals are each distinct in how they look ahead. Isn't it fascinating to think that optimism could be so universal, while pessimism is more personal and idiosyncratic? Digging deeper, the study revealed optimists were not just thinking alike structurally. They also differentiated sharply between good and bad future outcomes in their brains. Their MPFC activity showed a clearer divide between positive and negative scenarios. This might be the brain's way of helping them maintain resilience, by processing uplifting possibilities more vividly and negative ones with more distance or abstraction. So, are optimists better equipped to bounce back from life's blows simply because of how their brains sort out the future? It's important, however, to bust a common myth. Dr. Yanagisawa clarifies, "We're not claiming optimists have identical daydreams about what's ahead. Our data shows their brains construct and distinguish future events in similar ways. It's less about sharing exact ideas, and more about sharing a cognitive structure." Adding another layer to the discussion, Professor Lisa Bortolotti from the University of Birmingham, who wasn't involved in the study, points out that optimists tend to imagine negative possibilities for their lives in much less detail than they do positive ones. This means bad things seem less real or threatening to them. But this raises a thorny question. Is optimism always helpful, or can it blind us to potential risks? Professor Bortolotti stresses that ignoring what might go wrong can leave us unprepared. Still, optimism becomes a superpower when it fires us up to chase our goals. Vividly imagining a positive future that's truly possible makes us value it more and pushes us to work towards it, ultimately making it more likely to happen, she explains. And this is the part most people miss. Is optimism simply shared neural architecture? Or is it the force that propels people forward in life? Or could it even be a form of self-deception that shields us from painful realities? Are you someone whose thoughts about the future match up with others? Or do you see the road ahead in your own uniquely detailed way? Jump into the comments and share. Do you resonate with this research? Or do you spot holes in the optimism narrative? How optimists' brains work. Unlocking the secrets of positive thinking. Imagine this. When you think about the future, your brain's activity might reveal whether you're an optimist or a pessimist. Researchers at Kobe University have uncovered fascinating insights into how our brains process future events. And it turns out that optimists and pessimists have distinct neural patterns. But here's where it gets controversial. Optimists' brains seem to work in a more uniform way, while pessimists' brains show a wide range of individuality. This could explain why optimists are often seen as more sociable. They might share a common vision of the future, making it easier for them to connect with others. Optimists tend to be more satisfied with their social relationships and have broader social networks. Psychologist Yanagisawa Kuniakai from Kobe University suggests that this could be because people who share similar attitudes toward the future might envision it similarly in their brains. This shared mental framework could make it easier for them to understand each other's perspectives. But this is the part most people miss. The brains of people in central social positions react to stimuli in similar ways, which might extend to how they think about the future. To delve deeper, Yanagisawa assembled a team of experts from social psychology and cognitive neuroscience. He explains, the main reason this question has remained unexplored is that it lies at the intersection of social psychology and neuroscience. However, by combining these two fields, we were able to open this black box. The team recruited 87 participants, ranging from extreme pessimists to extreme optimists, and asked them to imagine various future events while their brain activity was recorded using functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI. This technique allowed the researchers to observe how the participants' thoughts about the future manifested as neural activity patterns in their brains. The findings, published in the journal PNAS, revealed that when optimists think about future events, their neural activity patterns are strikingly similar. In contrast, pessimists' patterns showed much more diversity. Inspired by the opening line of Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, the team summarized their results. Optimistic individuals are all alike, but each less optimistic individual imagines the future in their own way. Yanagisawa highlights the dramatic aspect of this study. What was most striking is that the abstract notion of thinking alike was literally made visible in the form of patterns of brain activity. The study also found that optimists show a more pronounced difference in neural patterns when thinking about positive versus negative events compared to pessimists. This suggests that optimists perceive a clear distinction between good and bad futures in their brains. Optimism, therefore, does not involve positive reinterpretation of negative events. Instead, optimistic individuals process negative scenarios in a more abstract and psychologically distant manner, reducing the emotional impact of such scenarios. Yanagisawa sums up the study by saying, the everyday feeling of being on the same wavelength is not just a metaphor. The brains of optimists may, in a very physical sense, share a common concept of the future. But this raises new questions. Is this shared mechanism something they are born with? Or is it developed later through experience and dialogue? Yanagisawa's ultimate goal is to gain a deeper understanding of what causes loneliness and what enables people to communicate with each other. He believes that elucidating the process by which this shared reality emerges is a step toward a society where people can communicate better. So, what do you think? Do you believe that optimists and pessimists truly think differently about the future? Or is there more to this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Why optimists' brains are wired to think alike about the future. What if we told you that the secret to why some people instantly click and feel like they're on the same wavelength might be rooted deep within the brain? That's what new research from Kobe University is boldly suggesting. And here's where it gets really intriguing. According to this study, the brains of optimists actually light up in remarkably similar ways when they think about the future, almost as if they're all tuned into the same mental frequency. Pessimists, meanwhile, show far more variation in their brain activity, painting unique and individualized mental pictures of what's to come. But why is this, and what does it really mean for our relationships and society? Let's dig deeper. Using sophisticated brain imaging technology called functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, researchers observed how 87 volunteers, ranging from deeply pessimistic to very optimistic, imagined different future scenarios. What they found stunned even the scientists. When asked to picture future events, optimists' neural patterns were so alike that it was almost as if their brains were collectively choreographing the same dance. Pessimists, on the other hand, each had their own, often solitary, routines. This could explain why optimists seem to form larger social circles and report greater satisfaction with their relationships. They're quite literally imagining the future in sync with each other. But here's a twist most people miss. Optimism doesn't mean pretending every negative is actually a positive. Instead, optimists seem to place emotional distance between themselves and bad outcomes. Their brains process adversity in an abstract, less emotionally charged way. This emotional detachment could be what allows them to bounce back quickly and maintain connections with others. Think of two people facing the same tough situation. One might brood and take it to heart, while the other acknowledges the setback without letting it define their world. That second approach is classic optimism, according to the study. Kuniakai Yanagisawa, the study's lead psychologist, explains, "Our findings made the intangible idea of thinking alike visibly real in the brain." And note the controversial bit. While optimists' brains matched up, pessimists each viewed the future through their own unique neural lens. The research team even borrowed inspiration from Tolstoy, saying, "Optimists are all alike, but every pessimist imagines the future in their own way." Do you see optimism as a collective strength? Or is there hidden value in such diversity of thought? What's really fascinating and could spark debate is the big unanswered question. Are we born to be optimists or pessimists? Or do these shared mental patterns develop through our life experiences and interactions? Is optimism wired in, or could anyone, through choices or social learning, join the metaphorical club of shared future thinkers? This project, backed by prestigious institutions in Japan and Australia, is just the beginning. Yanagisawa hopes the work will ultimately help us understand why some people struggle with loneliness while others naturally find connection, potentially paving the way for better communication in society at large. But what do you think? Is it better to be an optimist with neural patterns echoing those of others? Or does the individual perspective of the pessimist offer something unique that our culture overlooks? Where do you think society should draw the line between promoting shared optimism and embracing individual perspectives? Join the discussion below. Your thoughts could challenge or reinforce what science is just beginning to uncover.